Hey everybody, this is Dr. Reginald Stinson, and I'm going to talk to you about this Bitcoin move. I actually posted this a few days ago on TradingView about what I was expecting to happen. Eventually, I believe price is going to come back up here where you see it's highlighted here in this greenish color where this arrow is pointing eventually. But right now, Bitcoin is still extremely bearish. Now, I'm going to explain to you what exactly happened and why I called for it to come down, go up. I had it going up here, but it did go up, and then it went back down to the 7400s. Now, if you're familiar with patterns, then you understand um, head and shoulder patterns. Which head and shoulder patterns typically you get a lot of measured moves from the neckline situation. Which let me remove this so we can do this fresh. You get measure moves sometimes you don't, but that pattern is not valid until there's a break of the neckline. So as you can see here, price broke the neckline, but it came back up to retest the high on the right shoulder. Okay, or we can call it resistance. Came back up to a resistance close to where the right shoulder is, even though it's up here, and then it came back down. So let me zoom in. All right, so knowing this, so this is exactly what happened. All right, I'm gonna actually erase so I can explain it in details because this is gonna help you guys in your trading. Now, one thing that I learned over the past couple, let me put on the hour chart. The past couple months, I've been back testing and running some tests and studying is price respects certain levels in the marketplace. And I like supply and demand zones. Supply and demand pretty much is um, a stronger level of support and resistance. Typically, I like to look at it on the daily and the monthly. However, it does happen on the hour, 4 hour, etc. And essentially, this is where the banks are actually making their moves in the market when you see these major moves or impulsive moves. So support and resistance can be drawn all over the chart, but I like to use strong levels. So if you look right here in this particular area right here, okay. All right, this is where we had that first impulsive move up. Um, well, not a first impulsive move, but an impulsive move up on Bitcoin. You see it got extremely bullish right here. So notice whenever I drew my zone here, notice I had it drawn right here in this particular area, which we can call this a supply zone. Okay, even though it's on the hour time frame, or you can say it's a strong level of support. So notice when price actually came down to this zone the first time, it did a reverse and came back up. So when it came back down to this zone, the low right here, let me highlight because when I say right here, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. So the low right here is actually 78.09. Okay, so from 78.09, if you would have bought here up into the high, that's like over 5,000, 538 pips. Let's just call it that. Okay, 538 pips. Bitcoin calculates a little different, but we'll call it 538 pips from that point. Okay, so you could have wrote it all the way back up to this high here because we knew that it was going to retest support, which technically it can be drawn in a number of areas, but you knew that once price get somewhere in this zone, either it's going to continue up and break past that zone and keep going up, or it's going to retest. What you see, and if you noticed here as well, look at that candle. This is an engulfing candle, this red bearish candle. All right. So we can say, well, that's a demand area or a strong level of support. I'm sorry, a strong level of resistance because we have this strong engulfing bearish candle here. So once price comes back up to this area, all right, where this candle is here, I'm gonna watch to see if it respects that resistance, which you see it came up, came back down, came back up again, wick back down, came back up, wick back down, and then it dropped. Okay. Um, which I'm gonna show you something else as well. Another way you can kind of catch these moves is okay, that's not it. Okay, so the fib is not there right there. But as soon as you've seen, you got one rejection, you have a hammer, or some people may call it a pin bar, another rejection, and then you had another rejection, and then you have these three candles here. Some people call it three crows or whatever you call it, but that is a good indicator that this market is probably going to continue to go down. Plus it crossed the moving average. So yeah, price is going to go down here. But also you have to factor in when you're looking at this is a head and shoulders pattern. Price never exceeded the right shoulder. It didn't even come up to retest it. So as long as price broke the head and shoulder neckline, which validated that pattern initially, and it came back up to retest. So that did not invalidate that pattern because it didn't break past the right shoulder. So this is still a valid pattern. So it came back up to retest this previous structure here, but it never exceeded the right shoulder, which means that this pattern is still in play. So we're still expecting a downward move based upon this head and shoulders pattern. Now, typically with head and shoulder patterns, not all the time, but a lot of times, especially with Bitcoin, you'll get what you call a measured move. And basically what that is you measure the top of the head down to the neckline, which the neckline is probably, I'll just say right here. We'll just call this the neckline. All right. So I just take a trend line. I draw from the head down to the bottom of the neckline. And take it from the bottom of the neckline down here. And you see price pretty much went exactly where that move is measured at. Now that is a little trick that I learned from my mentor. It doesn't happen like this all the time with head and shoulder patterns, but most of the time it does. But also if you look at where price went, if I zoom out, it actually went to another area of structure. I may have to go to a higher time frame. Let's see here for you to see it clearly. But look at what price is. Okay. I don't know if, let me take this horizontal line and I'm going to take it from the bottom here all the way over here, and I'm going to come over here to show you exactly where it went. Okay. Now I could have went here as well, but we had a measured move, but I want you to look and see exactly what it did. Okay. You all see where the line is here, and y'all notice that is an engulfing candle. Okay. That's where the banks are buying. Okay. Whenever you see a big candle like that, you know, that's probably where the banks are buying. All right. So, or selling, but in this case, buying. So this candle alone by itself is 741 pips. Okay. The one candle on the 4 hour. So that's where the move is. Okay. So it came back down to that structure and then it reversed. Now, it could potentially continue to go lower, but I think we may be in an area where it may turn around from here. We'll just have to kind of see. But that's just to kind of show you guys how to properly evaluate what's going on in the market, and to kind of explain what happened with Bitcoin, because I know some people uh, seen the analysis or whatever, and you were kind of confused. But you could have traded this two different ways, which I actually did. Came here to this zone because I knew this was a nice zone, took it up 500, and then rode it back down here because it never broke that right shoulder. So it broke past that right shoulder, which means that pattern is still valid, and rode it down to this structure here. Or you could have took it to where the measured move is on this head and shoulder, which, it's a little bit off, but for the most part, these measured moves are generally accurate. They don't happen all the time on every head and shoulders pattern, but for the most part, it does happen. Okay, and you can go back and back test this if you want, but like I said, pretty easy peasy. So we will see you on the next tutorial. It was a pleasure to share this quick tip with you, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and go on Facebook and like our page and follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere, okay? Because we will have more of these type of videos coming out in the near future.